Hey guys, hola, namaskar, hello, and okay. So this video is about death and dying to myself. That's the only thing that I can come up with. So I've been trying to make this video for the last month. I've made this video, not this one is the one that I'm making right now, but I've made videos, like 8, and every time I try to upload them, they don't work, so I'm going to keep this as brief and as expression for and as love for and as incredibly beautiful as I can, I won't aim for 15 minutes, and I'm getting what I can, and then if I don't get everything done, which I can't, it's impossible, I will keep making videos, so it'll be like a series of videos around the same sort of theme. And got blisters, been working in my garden a lot in my house. All right, no more distractions. So after being all my life, as it turns out, and quite potentially last lives, if we believe in that stuff, I do believe in that stuff, that our soul leaves one, it waits, and it gets the right body for the next one. That's going to be the journey that you're going to get, because that's the stuff you're supposed to work on, so that you can go further forward, right, into your evolution, into your expansion, into your enlightening yourself of all of these burdens, these things, these weights, these concepts. And it's like going from a very shameful space. I was so terrified of the actual word death. Couldn't do it. I couldn't even hear the word. Anyone talking about anyone dying, thought of anyone dying, thought of me dying, thought of my loved ones dying. It was just so excruciatingly, terrifyingly painful that I created such a guilt and a shame around feeling like that I completely closed off. And I've now come to realize through doing all of these practices and techniques and things that I've been doing to myself over all these years is that each one, I have to go through each one to be able to come to where I'm going to be or where I'm going to go. And that's really why now I can sit and do these videos and talk and do these things, because now there's a sense of experiential understanding from a sense perspective. It's not like I'm reading a book and I've understood something and now I'm going to just regurgitate facts, because that's really what we do more than not. It's like, I'm going to be a good parent, and how am I going to be a good parent? Well, I'm going to get all these good parenting books. I'm going to be a good teacher. How am I going to be a good teacher? I'm going to go to school and I'm going to learn all these regurgitated facts. But until you experience the truth of being a parent, being a teacher, being a human, which we all are doing, and it's acute, many manifested ways, it's really hard to describe or tell someone, you know what, I try this, try that. I read this and apparently it works. Okay, great. Well, that's good. But have you experienced the truth of it? So I've come up with a lot of assumptions about myself and around my truths that I know nothing. I'm very, very aware of that now. But there's a deep sense of understanding and knowing away from the intellectual stuff. That makes me say, okay, well, I'm feeling the truth. And the truth of it is the fact that I know it's true because of the way it's transforming my body, my mind, my expression, my being, my way of existing in the world. And when it comes to death, there's still a sense that there is like a little bit of a to it, but it's not in this attachment to me part anymore, this attachment to my body, to my family, a little bit to my family, I suppose, to my wife and my kids. And, if I leave, I can't say that I leave if I leave earlier, because the time that you leave is the time you leave, right? There's no early or later time. It's just that's the time, right? But if I leave before a desired time, then I know that I would want them to continue to love, to be with other people, have another dad, to have another partner. And that's the part that makes me feel uncomfortable right now, because I discovered that I was afraid of letting them go because I didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job now, Like I had this deep sense of like worthlessness because of all my past stories and all my past interactions that made me realize like I didn't like the way I looked, I didn't like the way I felt, I didn't like my body, I didn't like anything about me. Externally, it seemed like I probably did, but internally, the truth of it was that I didn't. And that was a very painful realization to come to be like, oh crap, I did all this myself, in a sense, and more or less we do, which is ridiculous. Until we can be brave enough, because it's, I don't know if it's brave or what it is really, but when you decide, there's a certain level of anxiety, depression, discomfort, dis-ease in my body. I don't want that anymore. I can't do that anymore. How do I do it? Right, we're not checking out. We're going to check in. And we're going to go in and in and in and in. And we're going to find lots of people in our paths every day that are going to support us to go in and see our fears, to hold us, to support us, to create a container that's going to sustain us, that's going to keep us feeling safe, whilst we experience the deepest, darkest traumas that we have, that we did. Allow the energy, because it's just energy, because it's not happening anymore. For me right now, like I'm sitting in this space, in this beautiful house. But I don't have to relive that experience, but there's a certain energetical sense that's going to release hormones, like we've spoken about in other videos, which is going to make me bodily embody that memory, and then it's going to project, and then my body's going to reenact. That's the process of discomfort that we don't enjoy. And that was the thing that I had to do with death. I had to get closer to it, at least whilst I'm alive, as close as I can, to just see the illusion of it all, meditate on it, feel my heart race in the deep, deep internal fear of not knowing. And then by not knowing, it's allowed me to now sit with a curiosity and to start to feel at peace. I've only got to that place and I'm not fully in it. I know I'm not, because I know I'm not. I know it's not a truth, 100%. But it's a truth that's there more and more and more, the more I'm practicing these things, to the point that it's like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a sharer of these things. Because my experience, my bodily experience tells me that it's true. And I see now in the world so many people, so many people, the majority, are in some form of discomfort. And we're shutting down the internal world and just receiving from the external. And that's what I'm going to live from. I'm going to live from my habits so I don't have to experience the reality of the truth. So I don't have to deal with this stuff. Just keep putting things on top of it. But unfortunately, by doing that, as I've at least discovered, eventually there'll be a point where it snaps. And it'll be in some form of dis-ease. Not all the time, but more than not, it is. Once the body, the system, through living through chronic stress, in whichever way that stress manifests, through chronic stress, the body will give in. And when it gives in hard. And then it's discomforting. And then we look for every remedy we can. When I was deeply depressed because of this fear, I went and took antidepressants, I went and saw a psychologist, and all these different things, medications to calm my nervous system down, opioids. And then I said to my wife one day, you know what, I realized, because I was meditating a lot still, I had such a deep sense of shame. I need this support, I need this and I need that so I can be in the world. And I didn't really feel any better, to be honest. There was a sense of it, but I know a lot of it is placebo, because scientists have proven the placebo is just as effective as the actual thing itself. So ultimately, what's causing the reality of your getting betterness is probably just the placebo, the convincing that this is what's working. But I convinced myself the meditation was working. So it's still the same. It's still medicine. But I realized that, okay, I'm taking these medications to calm me down, but I'm not getting rid of the root. I'm not getting rid of the cause. I'm just covering it up with something else. So I said to my wife, you know what? I need to stop taking this medication, and I've got to dive in a bit deeper, which scared the living crap out of both of us, I think, because she already saw what I was going through. She thought my husband was going to quit out and he wasn't going to be here anymore. So I realized the stress that causes to someone else is untold. It's unfathomable, the amount of stress that causes. So if you're all going through those processes, talk to every single person you can to know that you're safe. Because the thought process that we're having about these issues, these situations, are just thoughts. It's not reality. So I've softly sat with it as time goes on. And I get closer to it, and I realize that I've come into this body this time around. I came from somewhere. Obviously I came from my mum and dad's energetic exchange. But where did they come from, right? And then where did their parents come from? And so if we can follow that line for infinity, we get to spaciousness. We get to maybe the origin, source, right? Which is what I ultimately are meditating on. We ideate on this thing. This energy that creates my heartbeat, your heartbeat. The oxygen that fills my lungs, the birds, the flying, the clouds, the ocean, the trees, everything is created from the same energy that makes my heartbeat. Same intelligence. At least in my perspective, it's quite beautiful. When you see that, you feel it, you realize it. It's like, whoa, it's cool. So now I'm in this process of dying to myself, to my concepts, every single day, every single second, as often as I can be aware of it. Seems a bit extreme, and maybe the listener is like, well, this is kind of crazy. That's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But you get to the point where you realize that the stuff that you've been taught doesn't serve you. It doesn't work. It served its purpose because it brought me to where I am. But to be so afraid of life just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There are things in life that terrify us, for sure, because there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in the world. Lots. Genocide being one. If it doesn't get much crazier than that, I don't know what. Or if it gets much crazier than that, I don't know what it is. But the fact that we can do these terrifyingly horrible things to each other. I don't want my kids to go out into the world and have to deal with that stuff. Become aware that that's what we do to each other. It's very bizarre. So we've got to go in, we've got to see our fears, see your fear of death, see your anxiety, your fear of your kids getting run over, the fear of your wife falling off a building, the fear of your dog drowning, the fear of heights, the fear of being underground, the fear of big wide open spaces, everything. Everything comes from a source, it has an origin. Let's go to that origin with softness and love. Softness. And as you go, relax. And listen to this guy, Michael Singer. He's a spiritual teacher, and he's, each person that I've come across on my path, when they present themselves, I don't know this man physically. But when he came into my life through the YouTube avenue, I listened to his podcast, I was like, whoa, now I like what this guy's saying. Kind of feel like it felt like I was talking to myself. but from a higher plane of, okay, I now know because I'm in that space. I'm not in that space where he resides, but I know that's where I'm going. That's where I wish to go to. And he just reminds you to relax. Always relax. In every instant, relax. As I get closer to my fears, and I'm going through some at the moment, and they cause me to feel something, I relax into it as much as I can. Like physically notice the tension, relax. It's like I notice during the day, like I might be walking down the street like this, relax. Okay, no, it's still there, relax. So you start feeling loose. So anytime thought comes into the mind, I'm angry, relax. Anytime you feel pissed off, relax. Anytime there's a judgment, relax. Anytime someone's raising their voice, relax. The first thing you want to do is reenact. Your body's going to feel it, spaciousness, reenact. I don't want to reenact. Because if I was in my full senses, do I really want to punch you in the face? No, I do not want to punch you in the face. No, I don't want to scream blue murder at you or give you the finger or do whatever crazy things we do as we just drive our cars down the street and we're getting angry with each other. Here, you don't want to do that in Mexico. I've seen dudes get out of their cars with machetes when people have been beeping at them. Beep, 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 beep. They're like, and the guy's like, stop beeping. The guy kept beeping. I was like, oh, what's going to happen? This guy gets out of the car with a machete. And the guy's like, all right, stop beeping. Ridiculous. Just you don't need to beep. We don't need to provoke each other into these situations because we know each one is a boiling pot of crazy goodness, So let's support each other by supporting ourselves first. So this is the end of this video because that's enough time. But let's keep talking about this stuff, the death processes. And as I'm going into it a little bit more, I'm actually going to start to train in end-of-life care. So these yogi principles, all of this stuff is now bringing me into supporting people through their process, going into their next phase, which we all have to do. We all have to participate in. And I just keep saying yes to everything now. Whereas before I'd say no because I was so fearful of life. Now I realize that I'm worth everything that the universe has to offer because I am the universe. So I'm just living itself. It's quite marvelous. And the more I drop into that truth, the softer my body feels. It's really cool. So on that note, until the next video, I hope this one comes up because this has just been perfect. Much love to everybody. And I'm coming back to England soon in the summer. Let's do some meditation, asana classes and have some sessions. And let's just keep loving each other. So much love to everybody. Have a beautiful day and I'll speak to you soon.